Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as especially for England and Wales the next few days actually looks pretty warm and dry. Now as said, it's not for all areas, especially for Scotland and Northern Ireland. We'll still see some precipitation moving in, but we are going to see well above average upper air temperatures moving in, temperatures widely into the high teens, maybe even touching 20 degrees through Thursday, Friday and Saturday. However, into the second half of the weekend, we are going to see a cold front pushing through, giving a return to more unsettled conditions, so showers becoming more widespread and longer periods of rain. But not only those conditions, we're also going to see some pretty chilly conditions arriving once again. Temperatures back towards the low teens at best, and some places next week, especially through the early part, might not get them up much above the mid to high single digits. We do start to see some Arctic airflows coming in. Now, it's nothing too severe, but it definitely is looking pretty chilly, below average temperatures, and beyond that we do see a bit of a recovery from most runs. However, the GFS brings a second blast of very cold air today, with a very late season Arctic thrust, essentially pulling in some very cold air. The -10 isotherm coming in, us being around 10 plus degrees below average for the time of year. Return of frost, potentially wintry showers, and generally very cold conditions. Now, I would say it is a minority option, but it's a possibility, and the GFS really does go kind of overboard with it this evening. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, do like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, we have seen some quite heavy widespread rain moving through today. From the southern areas, it's now cleared, but we've still got some heavy rain across much of Scotland here, still with bits and bobs across parts of the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, heading into northwest England, North Wales. But really, the heaviest stuff now is mainly over western Scotland, where we still have a yellow rain warning, but it does expire in the next couple of hours, so we're not going to show it in this video as we did look at it yesterday. But this should slowly push through, and things should be dry for all into tomorrow. Now, do put in the temperatures. You can see it's not particularly warm at the moment, but temperatures are around the low teens at the moment. But they're not going to drop all too much tonight, and then they're going to rise quite substantially through tomorrow, maybe 17 to 19 degrees across a large swathe of England, especially for eastern England, and we could even see a 20 degree in there. Now, as I said, the upper air temperatures are warm, around the 8 to 10 degree mark, which is around 10 degrees above average for the time of year. So it is a pretty warm air mass, nothing like we saw on Saturday where it was 15 degrees above average, but nonetheless still very warm, and it's going to hang around for a good few days. So we could see a few consecutive days of pretty decent late spring, early summer warmth through the early parts of April. But as I said, all things are reversing into the weekend and next week, as we'll see from the UKV now. You see all that rain slowly clearing eastwards overnight tonight, and as we enter tomorrow, there could be a bit of rain in the west and the southwest, but for most areas, bit of sunshine and generally warmer conditions, with upper air temperatures, as I said, getting pretty mild indeed. Same story into Friday, a bit of rain overnight, and could be some more persistent rain for parts of Scotland, but for most, Friday it's a bit cloudier, but will still be fairly warm. Into Saturday, a few showers once again further north and westwards, and starting to pick up especially for Northern Ireland and Scotland, but again further southwards, still cloudy, but turning warmer as well. But into Sunday, you can see cooler air pushing in, and although we're not going to see some very heavy rain associated with this weather front, you do see when that cloud clears, clearer skies pushing in, that is a transition from muggier Atlantic air to much colder, fresher polar maritime air. So we will see more sunshine into Sunday for many areas, a few showers around, but it will be quite a bit fresher with wintry showers over the Scottish hills. And the same can be said for Monday. More showers generally coming in from the northwesterly breeze. Typical April showers day with a pretty chilly air mass, and it will likely remain like that for a good couple of days. Temperatures low teens at best, maybe 12 or 13, and a cloud and rain mid-single digits probably, and of course the feel like temperature will be pretty chilly indeed. For hopefully things rise a little bit during the middle of the week, but as we'll see from the GFS in a minute, could plunge pretty quickly once again. Now, if you look at the upper air temperatures, you can see 10, 11 degrees through much of Friday into Saturday as well, but eventually gets pushed away by chilly polar maritime air for much of Sunday into Monday, and then we could see another blast arriving there as we head into Tuesday. Now, if you look on the max temperatures now, you can see this afternoon temperatures not particularly warm at all with all that rain around, low teens at best. And you can see as we head into Thursday, temperatures maybe 17 to 19 degrees, peaking maybe at a 20 or a 21. The same can be said for Friday, temperatures once again potentially getting up towards that 18, 19, 20 degree mark, and the same into Saturday, even actually showing you 20 degrees there. The difference is further northwards and westwards, where we have got cloud and rain, temperatures will be struggling as that weather front is pushing in, and it will push through for all areas, because by Sunday, look at those temperatures, maybe 13, 14 in the southeast at best, but most areas around that 8 to 12 degree mark, and into Monday a similar picture, maybe 13, 14 at best, but many areas around the 10 to 12 degree mark. Again, those are the actual temperatures. The feel like temperatures will be a good few degrees cooler. As I said, the one positive with a dry air mass, cold air mass this time of year, is we are likely to see quite a bit more sunshine. So that will help with the temperatures. So we'll just have to see how it does play out next week. But at the moment, chilly, but it's not going to be absolutely frigid. The air mass is a good few degrees below average, but it's nothing too ridiculous like we'll see from the GFS now. So you run through the latest GFS, you can see it's a far-fetched southwesterly wind with high pressure building in, which means it's warm and dry. Then you can see the northwesterly flows come in early next week, giving fresher conditions, upper air temperatures, maybe dropping down to the -5 mark at its coolest points. If you do look at the temperature deviation, you can see it's getting to around 4 to 6 degrees below average, so pretty chilly, and most runs have us getting this sort of air mass pushing in. And then we do see a temporary rise as we see some slightly milder air ride over this higher pressure. Now, it's this point where most models get to, the high pressure is kind of toppling in, bit of a westerly flow round the high, but the GFS builds that high up towards Greenland, pushes another northerly wind in for the last 10 days of April, and it goes pretty cold indeed. Not only the -5 line gets in, but even the -10 gets in for parts of Scotland, and it is going to go very cold on this run. As I said, 4 to 6 degrees below average on early next week, but look at this, around 10 to maybe 12 degrees below average here, coming in from the north. Very cold indeed. And if we do put on the 2 meter temperatures, look at the daytime temperatures, look at that struggling around the low teens for a week on Monday, and then look at that, temperatures overnight widely down towards freezing, and in the day around 5 to 9 degrees. Of course, you'd think we'd see colder temperatures than this, but we are getting towards the end of April. It's getting very difficult to be seeing temperatures much below the double digits, especially for low-lying areas in England, for example, where this time of year we're on a slow upwards trend towards average highs of the low 20s come July. So below double digits is very cold indeed, and you can see it does persist for a number of days, where eventually the temperatures start to nudge up to around 10 to 12 degrees again. But the GFS, pretty extreme today, but as I said, it's not guaranteed. As we see in the GEM, it does go cold, but it doesn't bring that second blast in, and it does keep us chilly, but nothing exceptional. So you see the high pressure with the southwesterly wind at the moment, pretty mild, and then that northwesterly comes in with much fresher air. So you see the high pressure does topple, and we actually see some milder air masses return. We're not too far away from some colder air re-emerging, but actually, for a time, this latest GEM run is pretty warm indeed. If we actually zoom in, where the GFS is a cold blast coming in, the GEM has 20 degrees a week on Saturday. So very interesting indeed. And again, it's all because we still have some very cold air to our north that is dissipating rapidly, but it's still there. And then we have very warm air to our south building in. So depending on the orientation of that high, whether it's a northerly or a southerly wind in for us, it can drastically change the outcome of the air mass. Now, if you compare to the ECMWF, again, southwesterly wind in at the moment, that northwesterly arrives, and again, the high pressure does topple in. And if you look at the upper air temperatures, some slightly milder air is pushing in, but once again, you can see some more cold air filtering in. So it is similar to the GEM, but definitely has probably more scope here at A10 for some cooler or colder conditions to come back in. It is high as ridging up towards Greenland and Iceland. So yes, it is slightly milder for a couple of days there, but would likely turn a bit colder. Now, if you finish by looking at the latest ensembles, you can see from the latest GFS ensembles, very mild over the next couple of days, and then a big drop to a good 4 to 5 degrees below average for the time of year. It stays pretty chilly for about 3 or 4 days, and then we return to average for the majority of runs. And then we see a second blast potentially emerging from some of the ensembles and from the GFS, a thicker green line there, the operational run, which goes very cold, down towards -6 to -8 degrees for London, which is exceptionally cold for this time of year, about 10 degrees below average, with the average starting to get towards 2 or 3 degrees, potentially even higher than 10 degrees below average. So very chilly indeed. But as you can see, it's not got 100% support. There are some mild runs appearing there, but definitely quite a few bring in another round of cooler conditions. So even though I say it's not guaranteed, I definitely would say at the moment, cooler conditions are favoured for the second half of April. Now, of course, a week ago, we thought it would be warmer and drier. Definitely looks drier. We got the drier signal correct. But as I said a minute ago, depending on the orientation of the high, that would decide the air mass. And unfortunately, the orientation we were seeing a week ago isn't looking likely, and is looking like much more to be more northerly airflows, which means generally cooler conditions. Now, if you finish by looking at the latest ECMWF, again, very similar, very mild at the moment, turning colder, good 5 degrees below average into the early parts of next week, and then slowly trending back towards average. But you can see again, quite a few runs, and the majority still keep us average to below average. A few bring us very warm conditions, and again, I don't think that is a massive shift in the synoptic pattern. I just think it is a slight difference in the orientation of the high, allowing the wind to veer more from a southerly or somewhere from the south instead of from the north, which the majority do have. And you can see the ECMWF actually does spike up quite early compared to the majority of ensemble members as well. So still up in the air for the second week of, the second half of April. I probably still would favour chillier conditions. It's looking very likely next week. Beyond that, I still would favour it. I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, but I do think the one big thing we are seeing is it's going to be pretty dry. There will still be showers around, as we see next week with the fresher northwesterly wind, but it does still generally look like we could be seeing some slightly more settled conditions. Nothing bone dry, or at least not bone dry for more than a couple of days, but definitely an improvement on what we've had so far this spring. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.